A mom who took her newborn baby to hospital over a red mark on his arm has told of her family's 2-day ordeal being grilled by police and social workers. Kirsty Clark, 33, was worried the mark on 5-day-old Jackson might be a sign of meningitis or a blood clot. She took him into Lincoln County Hospital to have it checked out. But to her surprise, after examining Jackson, a doctor called in social services and then the police. Mrs. Clark was subjected to upsetting questions about how she was treating the child. Officials prevented her husband Kane, 35, from collecting their 7-year-old son Karen from his godparents. Their son was also interviewed by a social worker, reports Lincolnshire Live. Mrs. Clark says she was made to stay in the hospital for 2 days until Tuesday, November 21, as little Jackson underwent numerous X-rays and a CT scan. The mark turned out to be self-inflicted by baby Jackson, who had taken to suckling his arm. Mrs. Clark, an administration assistant from North Hickham, said, "We were made to feel like child abusers. Jackson is a precious, little baby who means the world to us. He's an IVF baby and we had police checks done on us in order to have IVF in the first place. I took him to the hospital because I wanted some medical advice, and then I'm made to stay in a room for 2 days while they do all these tests and I'm interviewed by an emergency social worker. I understand that the system is there to protect children, but in this case it seems to have gone completely the opposite way." Lincolnshire Police confirmed they received a concern for safety report about a baby at Lincoln County Hospital on November 19, but that the eventual outcome was no requirement for further police involvement. Mrs. Clark, whose ex-Army husband works as an electrical engineer, said that a doctor had witnessed Jackson suckling his arm but did not believe this to be the cause of the tear-shaped mark. The doctor went on to seek a second opinion. She said, despite this second opinion saying that it was the baby suckling his own arm, he still had to have the X-rays and tests. United Lincolnshire Hospitals Trust, which runs Lincoln County Hospital, said it acted within the trust's procedures. Sue Benyon, head of midwifery and nursing for women and children's services at ULHT, said, "We would welcome the opportunity to discuss and investigate the concerns raised by Jackson's family and would encourage them to get in touch with ourselves, to enable this to take place. The Royal College of Pediatrics and Child Health, and our trust guidance states that in the circumstances of an injury to a child which raises the possibility of safeguarding concerns, staff should liaise with social care for the safety and well-being of the child in question." A social services spokesman said, "If a suspected case of abuse is reported to social services, we have a statutory duty to make inquiries into such allegations. We would have a meeting/conversation with police to ensure joint working and information sharing. This would determine how the investigation would proceed, and where there are allegations of suspected physical abuse, a medical examination would be undertaken to determine where inquiries would go next, dependent on the findings."